A cop ripped up a black single dad's complaint. Then the chief made the whole station salute him. Rain tapped softly against the windows of the downtown police station as Marcus Williams stepped through the front door, holding a worn folder tightly against his chest. To everyone around him, Marcus looked like an ordinary man, a quiet black single father in his early 40s, wearing work boots and a faded jacket after a long shift as a city bus driver. But inside that folder was a complaint that meant everything to him. And before the day was over, an entire police station would stand and salute him. Marcus had raised his 12-year-old daughter, Ava, alone since she was a baby. Life had never been easy. He worked early mornings, late nights, and weekends to make sure Ava had food on the table, books for school, and hope for the future. Despite the challenges, Marcus always believed in helping others. Every winter, he quietly delivered groceries to elderly neighbors. Every summer, he organized free basketball games for local children. And whenever someone needed a ride to a doctor's appointment, Marcus was the first person to volunteer. He never expected recognition. He simply believed that kindness mattered. That morning, Marcus had come to the station to file a complaint about a local contractor who had taken money from several elderly residents and disappeared without finishing promised repairs. Marcus wasn't filing the complaint for himself. He was doing it for people who had no one else to fight for them. But when Marcus explained the situation at the front desk, one officer barely looked up. Another officer, tired and impatient after a long shift, glanced at the papers and said, "This sounds like a civil issue. We can't help with everything." Marcus politely tried to explain that several seniors had lost their savings. The officer sighed, took the complaint form, and in a moment of frustration, ripped the papers in half. The room fell silent. Marcus stood there, shocked, not because of anger, but because he thought about the elderly people who trusted him to speak for them. For a brief moment, disappointment filled his eyes. But Marcus didn't shout. He didn't argue. Instead, he quietly picked up the torn pieces of paper and turned toward the exit. At that exact moment, the station doors opened. Police Chief Daniel Harper walked inside. Chief Harper was known for noticing details others missed. He immediately saw Marcus standing near the door holding torn papers in his hands. "Sir," the chief asked gently, "what happened?" Marcus hesitated. He didn't want anyone punished. He simply wanted help for the people who needed it. Calmly, he explained the situation. Chief Harper listened carefully. Then something unexpected happened. The chief's expression changed. "Marcus Williams?" he asked softly. Marcus looked surprised. "Yes." The chief smiled. "I know that name." The room became quiet again. Years earlier, when Chief Harper had been a young patrol officer struggling after losing his wife, he had been left alone to raise his small son. One winter evening, his car had broken down during a snowstorm. A stranger had stopped to help. That stranger was Marcus. Marcus had driven the officer and his son home, bought groceries for them, and refused to accept any money. "People help people," Marcus had said that night. Chief Harper never forgot those words. But there was more. As the chief spoke, several officers began sharing stories. One officer remembered Marcus paying for a homeless veteran's meal. Another recalled Marcus organizing school supply drives for children. Someone else remembered Marcus visiting lonely seniors during holidays. Piece by piece, a picture emerged. This wasn't just a father standing in the station. This was a man who had quietly spent years lifting others up. Chief Harper looked around the room. Then he gave an order no one expected. "All officers, stand." The station became silent. "Today," the chief said, "we honor a man who has served this community without a badge, without recognition, and without asking for anything in return." He turned toward Marcus. "And we apologize for forgetting what service truly means." Then the chief raised his hand in salute. One by one, every officer in the station followed. Marcus stood frozen. Not because of pride, but because, for the first time in a long while, he felt seen. He thought about Ava. He thought about the elderly neighbors. He thought about all the small acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. Tears filled his eyes. The officer who had torn the complaint stepped forward. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I forgot why I chose this job." Marcus smiled gently. "We all have hard days," Marcus replied. "What matters is what we do next." The complaint was rewritten immediately. An investigation began. Within weeks, the contractor was found, and many elderly residents recovered their money. But the biggest change happened inside the station. The officers started a new community outreach program. They visited schools, helped seniors, and worked more closely with local families. And they named the program after Marcus Williams. Months later, Ava stood beside her father at a community event as people applauded. She looked up at him and said, "Dad, you're a hero." Marcus smiled and shook his head. "No," he said softly. "Heroes are just ordinary people who choose kindness when they have the chance." And perhaps that is the lesson the whole town learned that day. Kindness is never wasted. The smallest act can travel farther than we imagine. A helping hand, a listening ear, a moment of compassion. These things can change lives, heal communities, and inspire others to do the same. Because true greatness is not measured by power, money, or titles. It is measured by how many people rise because you cared. And sometimes, the people who make the biggest difference are the ones who never ask for recognition at all.